Hello, Southern California, and welcome to this week's edition of Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined by Tom, who is the founder and president of 𝗪𝗟 Wealth Management. We've got a powerful show for you today. If you've ever thought, gosh, I've missed the boat, or I wish I had started sooner with my retirement planning, you're not going to want to miss today's show. We're going to be talking about retirement planning for those who are starting late. Tom, my friend, always a joy to see you. This is going to be a great show, isn't it?
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I wasn't late today.
I know, right? Speaking of being late, yes, I think so many folks can relate to that. I think in my work as a financial educator, I know you've heard it a lot. Nobody regrets starting sooner, but everybody seems to think that, oh, I wish I had known this when I was younger. I wish I had started when I was younger. And there's a couple important statistics that we wanted to kick off today's show with. This is according to the Federal Reserve's 2022 Survey of Consumer Finances, and they found that only 54.4% of American families actually hold retirement accounts, which means almost half are not investing for retirement. Then we got to look at the next generation, which is mine coming up, the GenX'ers. Between the ages of 45 and 59, the stats are just as concerning. With people with only 10 to 15 years left to retirement, the average savings is $115,000. That's quite shocking when you think about it.
Yeah, I don't want anybody out there though to get complacent and say, well, I've got more than 115,000. I've got 117,000, so I'm good.
Right.
Those stats are pitiful. And, you know, it's semi-comical if it wasn't sad. Mm-hmm. The way sometimes some people come and they say, you know, I need $3,000 a month. And a lady came to us recently and she got laid off at 62. Mm-hmm. And she had $400,000. So not, I mean, far more than this. Mm-hmm. But she wanted to never go back to work again. Mm-hmm. She wanted to reward herself with a brand new Mercedes for what she called graduating into retirement. She wanted to pay for her son's third master's degree, and she said it'll cost about $45,000 for that. And she said, and I want to redo my kitchen, and I need $3,000 a month for the rest of my life. Now, when we do seminars, we say we'll give everybody out there, and we say on this show, we'll give everybody out there a free retirement blueprint. Mm-hmm. It's because there's some people that just don't have the mindset to do the things that are necessary to make it work. And sometimes we just get to a point where people, it would be like a doctor prescribing medicine. Mm-hmm. And then find out that they're never taking the medicine. After a while, as a doctor, you'd get a little bit discouraged working with those people. Right. And maybe the doctor would just say, well, I can't work with you anymore because you don't listen to anything I say. Mm-hmm. So starting late is one thing. And not knowing is one thing, but knowing, and you're going to hurt yourself if you continue to listen to the show, because we're going to show you what to do if you start late to catch back up, and then it's going to be on you, okay?
Right, exactly right. Well, and that's why we wanted to do a whole show, because I think so many folks, it's all relative too, yep. Right? So for that example, you know, I think sometimes people also have that extra fear of, I don't know if I've saved enough. Well, it's really, have you saved enough for your specific needs, your specific situation? Do you have a complete laundry list like this woman did of all these things that she needed to spend without the money to back it up, right? And you don't know that till you get into the planning to see, okay.
Or my brother has $800,000 and he's able to retire. Mm-hmm. Well, is he able to retire because somebody told him just to leave it in the market and he'd make 7 or 8% a year, which you can't assure that that's going to happen because you could have a 20 or a 50% downturn in a market? Is your brother retiring with $800,000 because his house is paid off and everything's paid off and he's got a big pension and other things going on? So, you know, there's so many other dynamics in going into what you need. Can I retire? Mm-hmm. But I'll guarantee you, if you got $115,000, you probably need to work a little bit more.
Right. Well, that's why we wanted to provide some strategies in case you are starting late. Of course, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today,
Right.
right? So let's dive into some of these strategies, because really the question is it ever too late, in your opinion, Tom, to start saving for retirement?
Absolutely not. I've had people come in recently and they were 62 years of age. They responded to the television show. Before we ever did this program, they came in and they said, can we retire at any point in our life? He's 62, she's 58, and they have about $12,000 saved. They were in a situation where the wife had been taking care of her mom and dad and then his mom. And so, I mean, for 15 years, she had been a caregiver. And it had taken a lot of money out of their pocket that they would have been saving for their own retirement because their parents didn't save for their retirement. And that's what I see a lot of times. If nothing else, if you will start diligent and good patterns of savings and practices, and you will discipline yourself to do the right thing, your kids are going to watch you. And they're going to do the right thing. It's amazing. I have that story of, well, you know, the parents are rich, but the kids are broke. I don't see that. I see where the parents did the right thing. They saved the money the right way. And then they say, well, you work with my children. And man, I jump at that. Because generally the children have also done the right thing. And the children have also watched it, because what they've seen in the parents doing the right thing has been more important than reading a book or telling them or watching a show or anything else. You've shown them the right way to go about doing things, and they follow that pattern.
Exactly right. Well, let's get into some specific strategies for folks who may be nodding their heads going, yeah, I wish I had started sooner. I'm starting this retirement planning process late, if you will. So first up on the list of strategies is to maximize your retirement contributions. And there's a couple key things, especially for folks who are in their 50s and 60s, that they can be doing to really help themselves out in this area.
Catch up. And I don't mean the ketchup that goes on French fries, which I love. But there's a catch-up provision that allows you, as somebody who's over 50 years of age, in 2024, your maximum contribution to a retirement plan at work, like a 401k or a 403b, is $30,500 as somebody over 50. If you're over 50 next year in 2025, from when we're shooting this show, it's going to be $31,000 is going to be your total. So start. You say, well, do you want me to immediately start doing $31,000 or $30,500 for this year? That'd be great. But if not, here's what you do. You pattern this thing in. You build into this thing. As you get a raise, some of you are going to get, at the end of the year, a bonus. Many of you can take that bonus either in cash, spend it, blow it, you know, do whatever you want to with it, or you could take part of that bonus. I don't mean all of it, but part of that bonus and have that go into your 401k so that you can come closer to maxing out your contributions. When you get a raise, split the raise. You get a 4% raise, put 2% into your 401k and 2% into your pocket. What that will do over a period of time is to allow you, and you're almost inoculated for it. You're numb to it. It's like going to the dentist and they deaden the gum so you can take the pain. If you were to do $31,000 or $30,500 just immediately, all of it at one time, be real painful. But what you want to do is grow into it over a period of time. Now, the later you are, the faster you're going to have to increase that. But if you're not serious, you know, go watch a ball game. But if you are serious, you need to go and do this. You need to talk to your HR department if you're watching this. Like some of you are at the last part of 2024. You need to go to your HR department and see what you could contribute before the end of the year. If you're watching this in the first part of 2025, you need to go and see what it would take each week or each 2 weeks or each month, however you get paid, what it would take for you to begin to grow and maximize your payment into your 401k. You don't have a 401k? Give us a call. We can help you by starting an IRA. Or we can help you by starting a Roth IRA. Now, the contribution limits are a little bit less, $7,000 if you're under 50, and up to $8,000 in 2025 if you're over 50, but at least it's a start. And then maybe if you have more money than that, you don't have the 401k, get it in an IRA, get it in a Roth IRA if you're eligible. But the point is, do something. You said, best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is now, and the soonest you're ever going to do it is now.
Absolutely, and it's amazing how, especially with those catch-up contributions, that can really add up quickly. So we've got a lot more strategies that we're going to get into today if you are starting retirement planning late. But here's the great news, you don't have to go through this alone. Tom and the team of 𝗪𝗟 Wealth Management have helped thousands of people retire successfully. And if you've been watching the show for a while, you've heard stories of how Tom has even been able to help someone who's had a devastating life event in their 60s be able to regain ground and be able to still retire successfully. So if you would like help, it starts by claiming your complimentary retirement blueprint. That number to call to claim yours is there on the bottom of your screen, 866-709-1462. Or if you'd rather connect online, if you simply pull out your smartphone, you can open up that camera app, just point, click, and scan that QR code that you see there down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from 𝗪𝗟 Wealth Management will reach out to connect with you to schedule your complimentary meeting that way as well. We've got a lot more to cover. Stay with us. We'll be back with more right after this.
Welcome to this Right on the Money moment with Tom Mosley. My name is 𝗬𝗂'𝗿, and Tom, I have a very important question for you. What is happening on the horizon with Social Security? So many questions surrounding Social Security right now.
So many people are calling it now social insecurity because they've been telling us for about 10, 12, 15 years that in 2033, it used to be like an eon away, they've been telling us that they're going to have to lower the payouts on Social Security to about 77 to 79%. Well, it was a little bit of a shock treatment about 4 months ago or so when a big article came out in a national publication and said that's going to cost the average American person $8,000 to $17,000 per year. So a married couple would be $16,000 to $34,000. So here's what I would say about Social Security. You can't control Social Security. You can't control Congress. You can't even vote the people in that you want to do what you want them to do. But what you can do is you can build a contingent plan that if I do lose $16,000 to $34,000 in my Social Security payout, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to make up that difference? What happens in the world, you can't control, but what happens in your world, you need to be making preparation with your financial planner, making sure that you are addressing that potentiality that you could lose a big chunk of your Social Security. And the question is not, will it happen or could it happen? But if it happens, what are you going to do about it?
People have to be prepared, Tom, and you're offering such sage guidance right now. You truly are.
You have to.
Thank you for watching Right on the Money Moment. My name is 𝗬𝗂'𝗿 with Tom Mosley of 𝗪𝗟 Wealth Management.
Welcome back to Right on the Money with Tom Mosley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and today we are addressing the question, is it ever too late to get started? What if you are starting your retirement planning late? Tom has a plethora of strategies. We're sharing just the tip of the iceberg of them with you today, and you also handpicked some very choice quotes for our show that are very appropriate. So to kick off this segment, we have one from George Eliot. It's never too late to be what you might have been. That's a powerful thing to think about, especially from this retirement planning perspective.
Yeah, there's a Christian song we sing at our church, Eastside Church in Anaheim. It goes like, if I'm still here, God's not done. You know, that's the theme of it and stuff. And you still have time. You still have time to do whatever is there. Now, in this segment, Kristen, I didn't wear a tie today because I thought I might get in a fight with some of you out there on this segment right here, because we're going to talk about really starting late and some things you need to consider. And the second thing I would bring up, we talked earlier about go and maximize your retirement contributions, but so many people who've started late have done so, and they've made a mistake. Some of you got to admit it. I mean, I've got, both my grandfathers were alcoholics, and both of them went to AA almost every day of their life. And I remember they would tell me, the first thing you do at AA is you said, hey, I'm J.T. Mosley, and I'm an alcoholic, okay?
It's admitting
it's
that problem,
admitting
right?
it. And the first thing you've got to do if you're out there and you're starting late or you're behind the 8 ball when it comes to retirement is you've got to admit where you are. Now, something that goes hand in hand with starting late many times is you've got debt. You owe so much stuff. Now, getting out of debt is one of the ways that you're going to have to dig through that as you dig into saving for retirement. There's a popular guru who talks about a debt snowball. I think the debt snowball idea is great. I disagree with his tactic a little bit, and that he says add all of your debts up and take the smallest one so that you have a victory and pay off the smallest one. Well, I'm a financial advisor that uses a calculator. The smallest one may be at 4% interest. If the largest debt you have is at a credit card debt of 31% interest or 29%
which is not unheard of.
Which is not unheard of, you need to make a list of all of your debt. How do you get out of debt? You make a list of all of your debts and start by paying off, regardless of the size, pay off the one that has the highest interest rate. That's the biggest hole that's in the bottom of your bag every single month. So, you really want to get started. You want to roll up your sleeves, take off your tie, let's go to work here, okay? You need to maximize your contribution to your retirement plans. Secondly, you've got to tackle debt. You've got to do it. The only day to start it is now. Now's the time to start and say, I'm not going to go further into debt, and I'm going to start paying off debt by paying off the one that costs me the most interest. That's the one you pay off first.
So important to have that strategic plan in place to tackle debt efficiently, for sure. And I use the word tackle and I smile as I say that. Being a football coach, you know the importance of being defensive, right? And it's all about making sure you are coming at this from the right angle and prioritizing which debts to eliminate first.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
For sure. All right, next up on the list might be one that folks may bristle a little bit at, so I'm excited for you to really explain what you mean by this. Downsize your lifestyle.
Hey, I'm gonna just go to the mat with these things, okay? You gotta grow up and do away with your debt. You've not by bankruptcy, but by paying it off. The second thing is you've got to look at your budget. You've got to look at what you're spending. And I want to say this the right way. Some of you are one latte away from being out of debt. Some of you are one latte away from starting a retirement plan. Some of you are 1 or 2 times a week going out to eat less from having a retirement plan. I mean, you're going to have to make some decisions. If you're 30 pounds overweight, and you want to lose 30 pounds, you're not going to be able to not eat one meal and lose 30 pounds the next morning. It's going to take some deliberate decisions over a period of time. And I realize I'm getting in your grill right now. But if you're going to ever get out of debt, for goodness sake, start making your own coffee. I mean, I know Starbucks is not going to love me for that. Sell your Starbucks stock before you do that, but make your own coffee. Figure out a way to eat at home 1 or 2 times more per week, because going out to eat anymore.
Oh, it's so expensive.
It's not 15 or 20 bucks. I mean, it's 40 or 45 bucks, and if you decide to have an adult beverage with your meal, it may be 70 or 80 bucks just to go out to eat. Save one of those each time. Here's another thing. Some people trade their cars, and I'm in your grill, I get it, but they trade their cars every single year or every other year. I live at the entryway to a housing group that's right by 𝗪𝗏 Country Club. And it's not uncommon for me to see brand new cars, and I have to look and see who's in the car because I know everybody in the 96 houses that's in my group because I walk my dogs all the time, and they call me the president of that group, even though it's not a group, you know. And I walk my dogs in that area all the time. I know everybody, and they trade their cars every other year. I guess they can't drive a car unless it's got a leather smell, okay? But you know, you need to realize that buy a car that's going to last a little longer than that. I'm driving right now a 7-year-old pickup truck, and my wife's driving a 9-year-old pickup truck. And a guy told me after I spoke one time on the East Coast about 6 months ago, he said, with the kind of money you make, you could drive any car you want to drive. Why are you driving a 2018 Toyota Tacoma? And I looked him in the eye and I said, I'm driving the car I want to drive. It gets me everywhere I want to go, and I don't have to have a new one all the time. Okay, all I'm talking about is look at what you're spending. You know, do you have all these streaming services and you never watch cable anymore?
All those subscriptions will add up really quickly.
All of those prescriptions. They're as bad as medical prescriptions, you know?
Yeah, those subscriptions turn into prescriptions.
They are. They're unbelievable. So you've got to take control and do a list of everything in your bank accounts and everything on your credit card and see all the things that you could save. But when you start cutting that, pay off your debt with what you cut or save what you cut. Don't just say, okay, I'm going to cut all of that stuff. Okay, because it'll find another hole. But you've got to, first of all, go and get those retirement accounts started so that there's a place for them to go, and then eliminate your debt, work to eliminate your debt, and for goodness sakes, work to eliminate creating future debt. You've got to go to work on this. It's not like the exercise equipment you got for Christmas one year that you put it in the garage and walk by it 5 times a week and it doesn't take any weight off. You got to get on it. You got to get started, and you got to sit on it, and you got to exercise. And so it is with starting late. You've got to do something different, because where you are right now is not where you want to be. You've got to do something different. We are here to hold your hand and help you develop. You say, but we don't have any money. Why would you want to work with us? Because if you'll do the right things, eventually we'll be able to help you retire.
Yes, and I've heard all the stories of so many people where you've met them even in their 60s who are starting over from ground zero. Maybe you've had a devastating life event, maybe an unexpected divorce. Maybe you were forced to retire earlier than you realized due to health conditions, or maybe your company did a mass layoff. We understand how overwhelming that can be, but the good news is Tom and the all-star team of Moseley Wealth Management have helped folks navigate all these different types of situations. So if that's you, you don't have to go it alone. We know that this is your first time exploring this. It's not new to them. They've helped hundreds of thousands of people do it, and they would love to be able to help you as well. So that number to call to get your complimentary retirement blueprint is 866-709-1462. Or again, if you'd like to connect online, simply scan that QR code down at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We'll be back with more right after this.
I had been in the ministry and training for the ministry for about 25 years. It seemed every church I would go to, they would put me in charge of benevolence. And benevolence is when people come to the church and they need money. And they were trying to decide to buy food or buy medicine. And the medicine was some new medicine that was effective, so the drug companies might charge a tremendous amount, and we at the church couldn't afford to help them do that. It was difficult. So when I passed my license on June the 8th of 1995, I was sitting down with my 2 managers in downtown Pasadena, and these guys, they said, who do you want to work with? And I said, well, what motivated me to get my license was I want to work with retirees. They said, why not doctors or lawyers? And I said from the very beginning, I want to work with people to make sure they never run out of money, because I had seen it.
Welcome back to Right on the Money with Tom Moseley. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, where today we are discussing how you can successfully retire even if you start your retirement planning late. We've given you lots of strategies to think about. We've got another powerful quote as we dive into this segment of the conversation. This is from the legendary John Wooden. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And this is why you spend so much time really helping folks build a plan and preparing for retirement. And it starts with that complementary Complimentary Retirement Blueprint. Talk about how unique that plan is and what all goes into building a blueprint for someone.
Well, the first thing you do is you have to, like we said about the AA meeting where you say, this is where I am. You have to say, this is where you are. So you bring in statements on everything that you are, where you are right now, all of your investments, all of your accounts, all of those things, and also all of your debt. Because we need to look at that as well when we're going to build a plan. We don't talk about that a lot, but that's something that probably at least 40% of the time we have to deal with. But we sit down with you and we look at all of those things. And then we are looking for 6 specific categories. Who's we? That's our 10 advisors that we have that are spread all over Southern California, 5 offices, Encino, Ontario, Arcadia, Anaheim, and Scripps Ranch. We're going to have a couple more within the next 6 months or so. But we sit down with you and we work through your plan. Sometimes people say in response to the show, send us a retirement blueprint. Well, we don't know what your retirement blueprint looks like until we find out what your dreams are, what your needs are, what you have as to where you are, and if it's feasible to build a plan that's going to allow you to achieve those dreams. But we sit down with you and we begin to build those dreams. What do your 401ks look like that we talked about in the first segment? What does your debt look like, and how can we help you structure to pay that off? Even the house. Even the house, sometimes we ask people and work with people to get them to pay off their house and do those kinds of things. So that's what we mean when we do it. And sometimes we come up and we say, and just some of the other strategies, you may need to delay retirement. You may need to start other income streams. And we've got ideas where we've helped hundreds of people before develop ideas. If you're late, because you're in it, you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes. You're in it, but what we do is we help you see a way. And once you're able to see a way and you have a plan, we're able to work through and achieve those things. Develop a plan to get out. Everything in life can be solved if you develop a plan and you start honestly with where you are. All progress starts by telling the truth. Dan Sullivan. And so you start telling the truth about where you are and then move in the right direction.
And the good news is, you know, and you've seen this, even some slight tweaks, maybe just delaying retirement by 1 year can make a huge difference in someone's success in retirement. I mean, there's so many strategies that you're able to help folks, you know, employ for themselves if they did start later than they wanted to.
And then so many people are sitting there and they've been, for instance, in an account in the bank because they were afraid of money situations the way they were in 2008. So they've been on the sidelines for 15 years and not made any money. So many things that we can help you adjust and tweak to get you, if you've started late, to get you to the finish line on time.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, I appreciate you always sharing your wealth of wisdom with folks, and I know that we always have so much more to talk about than there is time, but I'm excited for more folks to connect with you and really be able, for those who have started late, see a path forward. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, right?
Yep, and it's not a freight train.
Exactly, not a freight train. So if that's you, if you would like some help putting your retirement plan together, again, the invitation is for you to pick up the phone, call that number you see on the bottom of your screen to get your very own complimentary retirement blueprint. The best time is today to start. 866-709-1462. Be safe, be happy, be blessed, and we look forward to being back with you next time here on Right on the Money with Tom Mosley.